This video is on solving and rewriting expressions using the distributive property. Distribute means give out. So what we're looking at and what we kind of talked about in class was when you bring cupcakes or whatever to school for your birthday, you can't just give them to part of the class, you have to give it to all the class. So 2 kind of represents those cupcakes, and the parentheses kind of represent the people in the class. So you do have to give out those cupcakes to everybody. When a number is next to the parentheses, we talked about that was one way to write that as multiplication. So what this is really saying is 2 times 7 plus, also give out the 2 to the 4. He's like the rest of the class. To see why this works and why they are both equal, we can solve. 7 plus 4 would be 11, and 11 times 2 is 22. When I solve this here, 14 plus 8 is also 22. So it's the same thing, that's why it works. When we do it with a variable, we can't actually solve like we did above. This would just be distributing the 8 and rewriting the expression. So we give out the 8 to the x. 8 times x will just be 8x. Carry that plus sign over. Give out the 8 to the 3. Now in this case, we can solve one of these a little bit more. You can't solve 8x anymore, that's going to stay the same. But you can't solve 8 times 3 anymore, and that will be 24. So our new expression would be 8 times x plus 24. Same thing on this one. Give out the 5 to everybody in the inside. 9 times 5 plus 5 times 2x. When a letter is attached to a number, you multiply the numbers, so 5 times 2, x. We can simplify a little bit more. 9 times 5 is 45, plus, when we do multiply, we can multiply those 2 numbers together. 5 times 2 is 10, and make sure we attach the x to that. Kind of in a reverse setup here, we want to take our expression and set it back up using the distributive property, which is kind of like that partial products that you may have learned in elementary school. We're going to keep the 5, and we're multiplying it by 405. But instead of doing it like the old way where I multiply using the algorithm, I'm going to break apart the 400 and the 5 into hundreds, tens, and ones. There are 4 hundreds in there, 0 tens, and 5 ones. From there, I kind of solve it like I did above. 5 times 400 plus 5 times 5. You can solve this mentally, and that's kind of what I ask you to do. We know 5 times 4 is 20, and we add those 2 extra zeros, and 5 times 5 is 25. So my final answer would be 2025. When I'm looking at similar problems, this one says, Mrs. Gio bought 9 dry erase markers and 9 notebooks for math class. Each dry erase marker was 50 cents and each notebook was $1.50. Write 2 equivalent expressions, then find the total cost. Look for the commonality. When it wants you to write an equivalent expression, look for what they have in common. And I notice here that I bought 9 of each, so I can pull out that 9. I bought 9 of the notebooks and 9 of the dry erase markers, which means I'm going to be multiplying. I'm going to multiply 9 by the amount that each dry erase marker costs, and, which would be plus, 9 by the amount that each notebook costs. So there is one of our expressions. The other one is where I kind of pull out that common number, 9, and put the other 2 inside of one parentheses. So 50 cents plus the $1.50 I spent 9 times over. Those are the 2 expressions, and then you would go ahead and find the total cost, and that would have been $18 once it's solved.